There's no bars.
Well, you got some voice out of it. Was that the?
Yeah, I know, but it's gonna die
Any moment.
yeah.
You're loud enough. You can yell and project right through Zoom,
I
right?
can, but it's not gonna go over the screen.
These chairs aren't set up the same way.
That's okay.
I walked away while you were talking about something about the Torah. Oh, yeah, I was walking away when you said something about the Torah.
I can say something about the Torah.
Loaded pages.
It needs to be rolled, yeah, because it's Shabbat Parah, so I just want to make sure that the second Torah
So
is.
should we pull the ark out right now? Just leave it out overnight?
We'll have to do it after service because it's already 6:30. So 7:30.
No, I understand.
But yeah, we do have to do that too.
I think that I was here, we have to pause it, and I want to show Marshall.
We discovered the missing piece from Home Depot. Oh, she found the rubber pieces when she was going through all the things. When they put it together, they just left it in the bag.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas.
Or electricity.
Well, yeah. With something that will heat.
I heard there's some states that are trying to outlaw gas stoves.
Yep.
I think that's right wing, I think the idea is to phase them out, not to ban them.
Well, they should also have better ventilation, if you're gonna.
Well, actually, there is an electric, version that will boil water in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, induction.
Induction, right.
We
So,
have it,
so you don't even, yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
We had induction, it lasted 10, 12 years, got a new one. And this has the power version. You hit P, like you said, 2 minutes, the water's boiled.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Welcome to Congregation Beth Am, our Friday night worship services. And we will begin. Beam, bam, beam, 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 bam, beam, 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 bam. Beam, bam, beam, 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 bam, beam, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Beam, bam, beam, 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 bam, beam, 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 bam. Beam, bam, beam, 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 bam, beam, 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 bam. We'll begin on page 13 with Shabbat HaMalka, middle of the page. Achama me rosha ilanot nistalka, bo v'netze likrat Shabbat HaMalka, hine hi yoredet hakadosha barucha, ve'im ha'malachim tzva shalom u'menucha. Boi, boi, Hamalka. Boi, boi, Hakala. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom. Page 15. Lechuneranina, 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 Ladonai, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur ishenu, nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzur ishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Please rise for Psalm 29. Psalm 29 mentions God's voice 7 times. And if we recall back to our Breshit story, the story of creation in the Torah, we remember that God created with his voice. God said, and it became. And so that is just a reminder to us that we create worlds with our words. And it takes some responsibility to create the world we want with the words that we use. Mizmor leDavid, avu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, avu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, avu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halavanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon vesirion, kemo ven reimim. Kol Adonai chotzev lahavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yecholel ayelot, vayechesof ye'arot, uvhechalo kulo, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lama bul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. You may be seated. And we continue with Lecha Dodi. We're going to sing the first 2 stanzas and the last 2 stanzas. The last 2 stanzas are on the next page, by the way. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechuvanelcha, ki mekor habaracha merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Yaminu smol tifrotzi, Ve'et Adonai ta'aritzi, Al yadish ben parzi, V'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzochola, Toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated, and we will read responsively Psalm 92 in the English on page 23. A song for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God, to affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp. Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation. How vast your works, Adonai! Your designs are beyond our grasp. The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this. The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever. Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish, all the wicked shall crumble. But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God. They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant to proclaim, Adonai is just, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Still on page 23, over in the Hebrew, 4 lines from the bottom. Tzadik atamar yifrach, kerez balavanun yizkeh, shetulim bebeit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, od yenun beseva, deshenim verananim yiyu lehagid, ki yashar Adonai tsuri tsuri velo avlatabo. We again will read responsively on page 24, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, crowned with splendor. Adonai reigns, robed in strength. You set the earth on a sure foundation. You created a world that stands firm. Your kingdom stands from earliest time. You are eternal. The rivers may rise and rage, the waters may pound and pulsate, the floods may swirl and storm. Yet above the crash of the sea and its mighty breakers is Adonai our God supreme. Your decrees, Adonai, never fail. Holiness befits your house for eternity. Eidotecha nemnu me'od leveitcha na'aveh kodesh, Adonai leorech yamim. Before we get into the Ma'ariv service, it is our custom here to remember our ill with the Refuah Shlema list, or our Misha Berach. And so I will direct you to the back cover of your Siddur, where you will find Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach, and we'll sing the first half, and then share the names, and then we'll sing the second half. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Does anybody have? Judy Ayers, Teresa Calla, Audrey Dash, Ross Dutton, Loretta Scher, Michelle Gurovich, Marie Schaffner, Harlene Schreck, Leslie Schulsinger, Katrina Williams, Mona Bachov, Rob Seltzer, Leibel Ben Margalit, Liba Shlomit Rachel Bat Margalit, Feivel Shlomo Ben Devora, Yisrael Ben Etel, Sean Nichols, Colton Nichols, Jackson Nichols, Herb Weissman, Suzette Weissman, Herb Bennett, Claudia Young, Natan David Ben Tilly, Gilbert McCutcheon, Ilona Sheplin, Rick Siegel. Misheberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. It is also our tradition here to share any todot, any things that we are particularly thankful for in the past week, or maybe something we're looking forward to in the coming week. I usually break the ice with something, and I would like to express my thanks for all of the lay people in the congregation who have stepped up and are making things happen in our congregation. It sure makes my job easier, and it's good to see that we are making progress, and that we are a community of people that are pulling in the same direction, which is not always so easy to do. So that's my todot for this week. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Anyone? I'm going to let you talk because, got to hear another voice besides mine.
It's unfortunate for all the rest of you because I won't be here next weekend, but I'll be with my grandchildren and my son for his birthday.
Oh, wonderful. How old? Oh, in North Carolina. Oh, well, it should be beautiful there. He's going to be 55. Okay. Your baby. Okay. It's lovely. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah? No? Okay. Well, we'll miss you because next week we have a chavurah. You'll be out of town. Oh, okay. I know. So for all of us that shared, and for anyone who was too bashful to share, at home and here, please rise, and we will offer a Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, granting us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this day. And we say, Amen. And we all rise and turn to page 28 to begin Kriyat Shema with Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Umavir yom umehevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, amari v'aravim. Page 29. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha uv'mitzvotecha leolam vaed ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla v'yahavatecha al tasih mimenu leolamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Page 30. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol vavcha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol miotecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We'll recite the second paragraph of the Shema quietly to ourselves, and then we'll join together with the third paragraph on the next page aloud. Page 31. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה בני ישראל לכנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Page 33, we will read together in the English. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all God's people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We continue on page 34 with Vishamru. Please rise. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעלמא דברה קירותי, וימלך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יש מי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה, ואמרו amen. We continue with the silent Amidah for Shabbat Mariv on page 35b and concludes on page 38. When you've completed your devotion, you may be seated. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, hu yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. We now turn to page 47 for the pseudo repetition of the Amidah, Vayechulu and Magen Avot. Please rise. Vayechulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tzivam, vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa. Vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi, vaykadesh oto, ki vo Shabbat mikol melachto, asher bara Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim va'aretz, Magen Avot bidvaro, Mechaye Meitim b'mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'ein kamohu, Hameniach le'amo, B'yom Shabbat kodsho, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Lefanav navod bira v'fachad, V'nodei lishmo bechol yom tamid, Me'on habrachot, El haodaot, Adon HaShalom, Mekadesh HaShabbat, U'mvarech Shavi, U'meiniach b'kedusha, Le'amedu shnei oneg, Zecher Lemase, Lemase Bereshit. We'll read on page 48 in the English. Our God and God of our ancestors, find favor in our Shabbat rest. Instill in us the holiness of your mitzvot, and let your Torah be our portion. Fill our lives with your goodness, and gladden us with your triumph. Cleanse our hearts so that we might serve you faithfully, lovingly and willingly, Adonai our God. Grant that we inherit your holy Shabbat, so that the people Israel, who hallow your name, will always find rest on this day. Praised are you, Adonai, who hallows Shabbat. V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, b'ahava uvratzon Shabbat kodshecha, v'anuchu v'Yisrael mekadeshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. You may be seated. We continue in the middle of page 48 with Kaddish Shalem. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabah, v'yalma divra kirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'miechon, v'chayedecho be'Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabah mivarach, la'alam ul'alamei alamaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmeir kudsha brichu le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alama v'imru Amen. Titkabal tzlotahon uva'utahon d'chol Yisrael kudam avuhon divishmaya v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. These last weeks that we have been reading in the Torah, Moses has been atop the mountain gathering information from God about the building of the tabernacle and all its features. It has been an awesome and holy experience for him atop Mount Sinai. Meanwhile, down below, the people are getting anxious, waiting for Moses. He said 40 days, where is he? The people begin to question their leadership. Here is what happens. So reading from Exodus 32, verses 1 through 7. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered against Aaron, and they said to him, "Come, make us a god who shall go before us. For that man Moses, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." And all the people took off the gold rings that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. This he took from them and cast in a mold and made it into a molten calf. And they exclaimed, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it, and Aaron announced, "Tomorrow shall be a festival of God." Early next day, the people offered up burnt offerings and brought sacrifices of well-being. They sat down to eat and drink, and they rose to dance. God spoke to Moses, Go down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have acted basely." We have to ask ourselves, why did the people build the golden calf? Why did Aaron help them? Was Moses a good leader in this situation? Was Aaron a good leader? Rashi says, and God spoke. He didn't say. It wasn't, and God said to Moses. It was, and God spoke. This implies rough speech. God spoke roughly to Moses. Go down from your high position. I have given you distinction only for their sake. At that moment, Moses was excommunicated by a decree of the heavenly court. So Rashi says, God is even angry with Moses. Why is God angry with Moses? Who's at fault here? Moses? Aaron? The people? What could each of them have done differently to come out with a different outcome? So this whole golden calf incident seems to be a case of bad leadership all around. Rashi shows us how God chastises Moses for his poor leadership of the people. If Moses had communicated better with the people before he left, maybe they would not have doubted him. And yet, Aaron too was at fault. He had allowed the people to conspire and riot by not providing them with any clear leadership instructions. Some commentators say that Aaron was only trying to stall for time until Moses came back. Okay? And yet Aaron's advice created havoc and rioting among the people. Rambam even suggests that Moses later yells at Aaron, saying, "What kind of hatred did you have for this people that you thought to cause their destruction and annihilation?" Clearly, Aaron was partly to blame for this disaster. And finally, responsibility also lies in each member of the Israelite community. The commentator Sforno points out that if there had been even one or two Israelites righteous enough to speak out, Aaron would have had enough support to desist from making the golden calf. When a situation of chaos and defeat arises in a community, it is easy to blame others. But in truth, each of us is responsible for our own actions. And when a community fails, as did our ancestors when they created and then worshipped a golden calf, it causes everyone involved with a conscience to question their actions for a time. May each of us learn from this tragic history of our people to take responsibility for our failures, learn from them, and use our resultant wisdom to make our community a place of responsibility and holiness. I am buoyed by the resilience of this warm community of CBA and the initiative our leaders and lay people are taking to move our wonderful Kehillah forward into the future. And I look forward to that future. Shabbat Shalom. It is time for Kiddush. Turn to page 49 and rise with your wine. Birshut Chaverai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchalatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Yummy. We turn to page 51 for Aleinu. No sense in sitting down.
More exercises.
Jewish calisthenics. Aleinu l'shabeach lahadon hakol latet gedula leotze breshit shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem vegor Eloheinu kechol hamonam, v'hanachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu notei shamayim veyoser haaretz, u'moshev yekaro b'shamayim imal, u'shchinatu zo begovhei meromim, Hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efesulato, Kakatu betorato, viadata hayom v'hashevota el vavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mimal, v'al haaretz mitachat ein od. Einod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, ushmo echad, ushmo echad. You may be seated. This week, we commemorate the yahrzeits of Celia Barosin, Pearl Barron, Rose Posner, Leon Goldfarb, Tilly Kornick, and Ruben Belnick. We now ask all mourners and those observing yahrzeit to please rise and join me in the Mourner's Kaddish on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alama divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'elam l'almei alamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kudsha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alama v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. We have a few announcements. Tomorrow morning, we continue our Shabbat worship services, and it's a Torah reading Shabbat. So I hope all who can will see tomorrow morning. Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Is our storage unit cleanup. So besides taking things to auction and it going elsewhere, we are also opening up all of our boxes and boxes of books from our library, and they are for the taking. So if you show up at the storage unit, please let Kira know when you are coming, or I think she put out you put out an email. So what time frame you're coming, so that we don't have everybody showing up at once and trying to cull through the books all at the same time. And on Monday we have our continuing Hebrew Reading 2 and Torah Reading 101 classes at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. is the Ways and Means Committee meeting. And Wednesday, the 15th, Mahjong is at 1 p.m. And men's poker night at Panera is at 7:30 p.m. So watch out for the email for that event. And next Friday, the 17th, 6:30 p.m. is our next Chavurah, and I believe the theme is Italian food. Yes, cool. So I hope to see you there as well. I think that's it. Do we have anything else? I think I covered it. So we will conclude this evening's worship services with Yigdal on page 53. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yenet el metziuto echad v'yen yachid ki yichudo ne'lam v'gam en sof le'achduto en lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'yen reshit l'reshito Hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreg gedulato malchuto shefa nevuato nitano elan shesegulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael kimo sheod navi umabit et emunato torat emet natan le'amoel al yad nevio ne'aman Beito lo yachalifa el velo yamir dato leolamim lezulato sovevi odea sitarenu mabit lesof davar bekadmato gomel ish chesed kamifalo noten rashara karishato yishlak laket yamim meshichenu liftot mechakake Yeshuato, Meitim Yechael, Berov Chasdo, Baruch Adeyad, Shem Dehilato, Meitim Yechael, Berov Chasdo, Baruch Adeyad, Shem Dehilato. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.